So this is part 5 of Sirenhead, of female deku with Sirenhead. So in this part, I will try to cover the sports festival, the internships, and the final exams. And I will actually try for this one. Alright, so we'll open up with where we last left off, with Izumi going to the orphanage for to see the kids. As once she got there, she would start talking to them, basically helping them with whatever they need, like an older sister should. Or like any older sibling should. As she would then finish up the day and head back to the dorms after saying goodbye to them. As she would return to the dorms and head back and then socialize with you for a little bit and socialize with the other members of Class 1A. Basically discussing her quirk a bit more in depth. Like stating that there is a possibility there are more people with similar quirks like hers. As she said that it is quite a common quirk in the United States, but I'm not so sure over here in Japan. As she also states, but there can be an instance where one can become a bit unstable. As you and Class 1A would ask, what does she mean by that? As she would state that in the instance where one person with similar quirk to mine cannibalizes another with the same quirk, there is a chance that they can mutate. As they state what they mutate into. As she states that they then mutate into a megaphone head, which are twice the size of what I am when I'm giant. And they are also capable of killing others with killing others easily. Give me a minute. Sorry about that. As she would then say, I'm not even sure if I could stand up to it by myself without some help. As you said, well, let's just hope that they don't come around here. As Izumi would say, yeah, I hope so. As we then cut a couple days, as once they get into the class, Aizawa then tells them that the sports festival will be coming up in the next couple days, as they are told that they need to train a lot. As everybody would start to train their asses off, with Izumi basically trying to expand the reach that her sirens can reach. As right now it's quite short, only a couple meters away from her. Like about 6 meters away from her, as she would basically be doing that for majority of her training, and the other majority would be focusing on hand-to-hand combat. As they would, as the day of the sports festival would arrive, with President Mike calling out Class 1A after all the other classes have been called out, as an eruption of cheers would come from the crowd, as they would say, would the first year representative Katsuki Bakugo come to the stand, as Bakugo would then walk up to the top of the podium and basically give a speech saying that he's going to be the one who will win the sports festival. As there is a loud booing coming from the other classes, as Bakugo would then head back to Class 1A. As the wheel spin would then happen, with the first event being a race, with you, who's right next to her, basically bumping Izumi on her shoulder, on her elbow, saying, "Well, guess we'll see which one of us is faster in our giant forms." As Izumi would respond with, "Yeah, I guess we will," with a smile. As they would then get to the start, to where the starting line is, as President Mike would say, 3, 2, 1, go! As Todoroki would begin to free the ground, Izumi would notice this and warn you about it, as they would both jump above the ice, as they would then land on it, with them basically growing to their giant states, as they would begin to run. Now, hold on, give me a minute, I completely forgotten how, actually, no. As you would begin to run, and then, if I remember correctly, Sirenhead can run on all fours, which Izumi does do, as she basically passes you without any effort. As she's still running on all fours, they then get to where the point robots are, as Izumi would see them, as she would say, "Huh, so I'm guessing these were what you went up against in the entrance exam. Oh well, no time like the present to fight them." As the mouths on the sirens would begin to open, as a very loud sound can be heard, which creates a shockwave, basically sending the robots flying, as you would begin to run through them, as she'd also manage to avoid the 0-pointers, with Brother Mike saying, "Wow, that was impressive. Aizawa, isn't that one of your newer students?" As Aizawa would say, "Yes, she is. Her name is Izumi." As he would say that, he would also say that her quirk is called Sirenhead. As Brother Mike would say, "Wow, that sounds like a very powerful quirk." As Aizawa would say, that is a pretty powerful one. And judging from what I saw during her training, it's actually gotten stronger. With Izumi basically passing by all the 0-pointers, as she would then make it to the canyon, where she would take a running start, as she would then jump from the rock platforms to rock platforms until she makes it to the end of it, as she would then begin to run again. As we then get to the minefield. Now, Izumi, due to her having such a big lead, I'd say Bakugo and Todoroki are about 10 minutes behind her. So what she does is that she basically begins to dig up all the mines, and she has a bit from the robot. She tore off a piece of the robots when she passed by them, as she would shrink down and then place all the mines in one hole, as she would then get the piece of metal from the robots underneath her, as she would then jump onto the mines, basically detonating them all. Now, these are all the mines in the field. So she goes very far. And if you want to know how far, basically halfway to the end of the race. With her landing and seeing Bakugo and Todoroki basically gaining a lead, catching up on her, as she would then begin to bolt. As everybody is anticipating on who will reach that first, as Izumi runs out from the tunnel, as she would be dedicated hold on, I can't speak today, give me a minute. There we go. She would be announced the winner of the first section of the sports festival. And now we get to everyone's favorite portion, the cavalry battle. As with Izumi being in first place, she is given the 1 million point headband. Well, it was 10 million points. As you basically said that they should team up with both their gigantification with both their abilities, allowing them to go giant. It would be pretty easy. As Izumi would say, that's a great idea, but I'm shorter than you. As you can grow up to about, 31 meters, while Sirenhead is about, give me a minute. I should say that her Sirenhead form their giant form is only 12 meters tall. So it would not be a good idea for both of us to go giant, because either I will be on my toes, basically trying not to fall over, while you will be you will have your back bent downward, which will leave you open to more attacks from behind. As she says, it's best if the both of us keep at our current sizes at this moment in time. With you saying, yeah, you're probably right. As Izumi would say, well, Zafa's got 2 members, so we need another 2. With Tokiyami and Mei Hatsume joining up with them, as it did in canon, with them saying that Tokiyami should be the rider while they be the horses. As they agree to this, with Tokiyami taking the 1 million point headband, and them beginning the cavalry battle. Alright, so as the cavalry battle begins, they would begin. You and Izumi and Hatsume would begin to move on the outside, so that they're not that big of a target. Not that big, so that they're not that big of a target. It's more or less so that they're not noticed as much. As Izumi, as Bakugo's team would notice them, once they tried to get close to them, Izumi would have let off a massive sound wave, which had sent their team flying back. As Baku would basically be determined to get the 1 million point headband from them. As he would then basically be doing that for the entire match of the cavalry battle. With hold on. With Todoroki's team trying to do the same with Shoto trying to freeze the ground. As Izumi would have noticed this, as she would have said to you and Mei to jump, which they did, avoiding the ice and Bakugo's team being frozen in position. As Izumi would look back at Todoroki as she'd say, "Nice try, but there have been people who have fought me and have had ice quirks before." Now, if you're wondering, no, this wasn't when she was under the mind control of the villains. This was during the time when she was in middle school, when she was being bullied. That will be revealed throughout the series, probably, maybe. I don't know. As she would begin to produce more and more shockwaves, which would keep everybody at bay, as the announcement would go, as President Mike would yell, "Time's up!" And on top of the leaderboard is Tokiyami's team, is Izumi's team. But since Izumi wasn't a horse, it's named Team Tokiyami. So Team Tokiyami will be proceeding to the final rounds along with the other teams that went canon. With Oboro, no, not Oboro, hold on, give me a minute. As Ojiro would give Izumi a warning about Shinso's brainwashing quirk, since she was up against him in the first match. As Izumi would say that she'll keep it in mind. As they would reach the tournament arena with Shinso, with the match beginning, Shinso basically beginning to bad talk Izumi into speaking with her lips not budging. As Shinso would then begin to bad talk you. As that's basically where Izumi would just not deal with that anymore, as she would let out a full blast, I'm going to call this the sirenhead screech. As it is at full blast, so if Shinso, let's just say that it's powerful enough, it's loud enough to where if Shinso was any closer, he would have gone deaf. As it would come out, as this would basically blast Shinso back and into the walls, with the sirens on the side of Izumi's head then shutting. As she would then walk off the tournament, the arena, state as Midnight would state that Izumi is the victor. With the rest of the fights going as in canon, as you would fight Todoroki in the first round and end up losing sadly. As we then get to hold on, give me a minute. We then get to the fight with Todoroki and Izumi. Okay, so in this one, Mina actually ends up beating the person that she lost to. So I don't remember who it was, so whoever she lost to, she ends up beating. But actually no, she fights someone different, so she ends up winning. As Todoroki and Izumi would approach the arena at the same time, with Todoroki then using his ice as soon as the match begins. with Izumi releasing another shockwave, which basically shatters the ice, as Todoroki would be pushed back from this. As he would then try to allow another ice barrage, with the same result happening each time. With Izumi saying, "Why don't you just use your other quirk?" As she would say that, "I know they have two, due to what I heard, you have two quirks." As Todoroki would say, "I'll never use that my old man's quirk. Did he pay you off so that I would use it?" As Izumi would say, "What? No, he never paid me off. In fact, if he did pay me off, I would have an audio recording of it from my sirens, but I don't." As Todoroki would get angrier, thinking that she's lying, as he would let out another ice barrage, with her not even dignifying it with a shockwave, as she would just dodge out of the way. And she would say, "Look, if you want to be a true hero, you'll need to use your quirk at 100% potential. If you don't use that, then you're going to be about the half-assed hero as Endeavor is." As Todoroki hearing this would get angrier, as he would then use his ice again. As he'd say, "I'll prove I can be a hero without using my other quirk." With Izumi saying, "Oh my god, this emo boy. It's your quirk, not his. If it was his quirk, he would have had control over it. But no, it's yours." As Todoroki hearing this, his fireside would then ignite, as he would use that ultimate move that he did in the canon. But Izumi would have dodged out of the way of it, as she would have walked out from the smoke, and sort of like heard about her 12-meter state, as she would wrap her hand around Todoroki's entire body, as she'd say, "You put up a good fight, but you have room for improvement." As she would basically throw Todoroki out of the ring, as he would land in the ground, with Midnight saying that Shoto Todoroki is out of bounds. Izumi has won the semi-finals. With Mina fights Bakugo in this one, and not Uraraka. With Mina ending up losing to Bakugo, as during the next fight, Izumi went to see Mina, as Mina would have said that she was so close to beating him, and Izumi would say, "Hey, it's okay. Not all of us can. It's okay. From that fight, you learned that you need to improve, and that's all. And that is really all you need. Every time you lose, you figure out what you did wrong, and then you improve upon it. And that's the best way to become a hero. You learn from your mistakes." With Mina thanking her, as Izumi would say, "No problem." As once Izumi left, Mina had turned a bright shade of red, thinking, "Oh my god, she's so kind." With with that final fight, and announcing who lost, with President Mike announcing that the final battle between Bakugo Katsuki and Izumi shall begin, with Izumi headed to the arena, as Bakugo who is all high and mighty because he got the jump on her in the USJ, would think that she'll be very easy to take out. Oh boy, is he wrong. With Izumi basically beginning combat with Bakugo, as Bakugo would begin to throw his explosions at her, as Izumi would land a solid punch on Bakugo's gut, as he would basically begin to slide across the ground, with Bakugo getting angrier, as he would think, does she think she's better than me just because she landed a hit? As Bakugo would then go in for another blind attack, with Izumi then using a shockwave to send Bakugo back. As Bakugo is getting even more angry, because Izumi isn't fighting at her full potential, because if she was, she'd be giant right now. With Bakugo yelling, do you think you're better than me just because do you think you're better than me because I can't take you on and you're giant? As Izumi would say, no, it's just that'd be a waste of energy to do it right now because I'm already pretty tired. As Bakugo would be getting angry, as that basically translated to him saying, from her saying that, it would translate to him saying to him that he's not worth the energy. As Bakugo would say, how dare you? As he would then prepare for a full power howitzer impact. As Aizawa would yell over from the intercoms, as he'd say, Bakugo, stop, you're going to kill her. As it is already too late, as Bakugo would let off a massive explosion. And everybody begins to panic because they think that Bakugo just killed a student. When out of nowhere, a massive red arm comes from the smoke, as this is basically Izumi's red sirenhead state. Now, for those of you who don't know, the red sirenhead is basically like the normal sirenhead, but their skin is red and they are a lot larger and a lot more powerful. With Izumi looking down at Bakugo, with her now being, give me a minute. Alright, won't give me an exact measurement, so I'm going to say that her red sirenhead is about 15 meters tall. As this giant red hand would punch Bakugo, as he would basically land outside of the arena. With Izumi, with the smoke clearing, as Izumi would be seen in this new state, as she would then begin to shrink back down, as her skin would turn back to its normal color. With Midnight saying that Bakugo Katsuki is out of bounds, Izumi has won the sports festival. With everybody basically cheering, as once medals were given out, All Might basically tell everybody what they did well in and what they should work on, as that is the end of the sports festival. As I don't think I'll be able to cover the internships because I want to spread this out. So I'll just cover who got the most internships here. So the next day they get the number of internships that they got from the sports festival, as Izumi had the highest at around 415 internship offers, I believe, with her having a wider variety of choices than everybody else. She basically begins to have a miniaturized panic, like a silent she's currently internally screaming due to the amount of internships she got. As she would look through them and notice that she had gotten an internship from somebody named, give me a minute, as she would have gotten an internship from a pro hero called Breaking News. Alright, so if you guys don't know what breaking news looks like, I'll get an image up. Give me a minute. Alright, so this is what breaking news looks like. As Izumi would have put her internship with him. As when you ask, so who did you put your internship with? As Izumi would say that she put hers with with the pro hero breaking news. As you would say, you mean the number so in this timeline, breaking news is the number 4 hero. As you would say, you mean the number 4 hero? As Izumi would have gone with, would have said, yep. I mean, if I'm going to have to learn how to maneuver around urban areas, he's probably my best bet. As he would say, that's actually a brilliant idea. As Izumi would have said, yeah, I know. And that's where I'm going to end this part off. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.